best practices for enforcing these contracts is, it's having a contract is a good first step, but you also want to make sure this is enforceable. Having a lawyer really helps you with that. When you're engaging with another party and there's things that you don't understand about the contract and you don't have a lawyer, the best next thing that you can do is get clarifications of these different provisions in writing. Emails and text messages are acceptable forms of writings that courts will recognize when they're actually interpreting a specific provision in a contract. So just as a best practice, just ask questions, but don't just rely on phone calls. Use your text messaging, use your emails, and make sure that you keep records of that. Just in case something goes wrong, you have something in writing that you can look back on. If you do agree with something with somebody, make sure that every single one of those agreed terms are actually in the contract. Because if it's not in there because of these provisions that we discussed earlier, it may not actually count when there is an issue. If you notice that the other side is violating the contracts, you may not be in a position to hire an attorney, but at least get a consultation with an attorney. Because what happens a lot is a business owner will start looking for attorneys and start talking to attorneys at the wrong stage of the dispute. Because what will happen is you'll say, something will happen at first, and then they'll say, yeah, they violated this term, but I think it's just a one-time thing. So let me just continue going on and hoping for the best. In a lot of scenarios, when something goes wrong for the first time, it will continue going wrong. There's very, very few instances where someone does something wrong, someone wrongs you under a contract, and then they all of a sudden change their behavior without any prompting. So the first time something goes wrong, get a consultation, because anything that you say to the other party can actually be used against you in court if you end up being involved in a lawsuit. So the attorney will make sure that you don't screw yourself over early in the dispute, and also make sure that you don't lose any potential rights that you have by continuing to engage with the person when you're not involved in a lawsuit at the time that you have the initial dispute.